in my day, it was you were just clumsy, and I was clumsy, very awkward. And it's only sort of really listening to you, I think, probably am dyspraxic. You know, I was extremely clumsy and uncoordinated child. And when I sort of reflect back on my early years, um, you know, it's quite horrible, really, when I think about it.
Why is it horrible?
Why is it horrible? I was just, I was useless at anything to do with sport. I was sort of like a headless chicken, used to run around, but was never any good at it. I can recall technical drawing where it's all about drawing straight lines, and I would shake. You know, I was no good at anything to do with woodwork or metalwork. Fine motor skills was you know, these are things that I just found particularly awkward. And you know, I used to walk awkwardly. People used to call me names because I used to walk differently. Um, but I was, you know, I guess when I think about it, it's made me more resilient, more sort of determined in later life to know that even though I've had those difficulties, I don't think it's affected me sort of majorly as an adult. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
You said sort of, why would I not go and get officially diagnosed? I can't see how that would enhance my life at this current time. What would it give me different? I can understand when you're going through the school education process, because clearly you need the assistance to cope with those difficulties. But I think all it would do is it would give me a label, and I don't like the idea of having a label purely to say I have dyspraxia, because it's a difficulty in the same way dyslexia or other learning differences stroke difficulties, but it's about how you overcome those difficulties. And, you know, I'm short-sighted, but I don't advertise the fact that, hello, I'm Mark, I'm short-sighted. They can see I've got some sight problems because I wear glasses, but I don't need to label it anymore. As somebody who's spoken to you about it and sort of tried to sort of look at it within my own experiences, it's to me, it's primarily, I think, a coordination, but it manifests itself in different ways. I didn't learn to swim until I was 11, and that was through not formally learning through lessons or somebody supporting me through how to swim. It was through school. I was basically pushed in, and it was either start splashing around and trying to learn to swim, or I'm going to drown. I mean, there are things that I'm never going to change. I'm probably always going to be perceived as being a little bit awkward in movement. For example, carrying a drink, I have to concentrate quite hard not to spill it. As I say, I can't drive. I don't take to new things very easily. And I walk probably more, you know, if people see me walking, it's difficult. I'm not seen as somebody who's very elegant and graceful. But I think that's something that I've just sort of thought of. It's part of who I am. You know, we've all got areas that we would perhaps change if we weren't. I'm sort of accepting of that. But I think what it's in one respect, the drawbacks in one part of my life Um, the other part is I think it's enabled me to sort of develop skills of resilience and determination that I have more than I would like to think of most people. So for example, when I left school, I've always loved sport but couldn't do it, but found I could run. Couldn't walk properly, walking was always awkward, but I could run. And I learned through working hard and determination, I could actually do pretty well at marathon running. When I went out to Sri Lanka for work on a project, it was a very harrowing story in terms of working with survivors of the tsunami, and I was in a group where I found myself on the outside. I didn't fit into the group for whatever reasons, and I became more and more withdrawn from the group, and as a result my confidence began to seep. And we were on a journey, I can't remember where we were going, but we were in a minibus. I was by the door, and I knew we were going to stop soon. For about an hour before we were going to stop, I was looking at the door handle and trying to work out how I could open it, and became into a blind panic, because when your confidence goes, it seems to exacerbate this sort of clumsiness, dyspraxia, and it was quite a traumatic, ordeal really, which I wouldn't have thought. Why am I behaving like that? Why am I acting in a way so irrational? It was bizarre.
So, like something so small.
So simple was such an ordeal.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and yeah. Tell us about your.
Well, I was.
Come on, don't be boastful.
Well, I don't want to be boastful, but I was one of the better runners in Hampshire.
That's pretty big.
Well, I was okay.